Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Patreon podcast. This week I wanted to talk about creating intrigue with your work, and I'm not really sure how deep I want to go into this because it is really kind of more of a marketing thing almost, but it's also something that you can do with your work itself. And there's a couple ways that you can approach this. One of them is to make your work like internal or external. So external intrigue would be something like attaching a story to how it was made to the piece itself. So like in your Bandcamp description or like the little placard for the piece of art that you have, it's just like this was made during a snowstorm or this was made on a rooftop, like during some kind of thing. And internal intrigue would be something that kind of hooks the listener in. And we talked about hooks a couple episodes ago, but something that brings a little bit more meaning to the piece the more you experience it. This could either be something related to the track name that takes a little while to unpack, or maybe particular hooks in the song, like you can find parallels between them throughout the track itself, and just like making things more interesting than what you experience at face value on the piece. And I think that that's really important for staying power with the music, or whatever piece. I say music because that's primarily what I focus on, but I think that the staying power is important for that because people love stories. Whether they're fictional or not, that doesn't really matter, but people love stories. And if you can give the story a piece, or give the piece a story and create intrigue, create something that revolves around the piece that you're working on, I think it'll resonate with people more because they have something to grasp onto. And that's one of the things that I like to do during my 2-hour track challenge, where it's if I'm feeling stuck or if I'm feeling like the piece doesn't have that kind of hook or that intrigue for it, I sit down and I try to figure out like what's going on in this song, like what's happening currently and what could happen in the future. And that can sometimes create interesting changes in the song that don't necessarily make sense unless you understand that kind of internal monologue that's going within the song itself. And I think that kind of stuff is really important, even if it's not completely transparent. Like even if you don't talk about it after the fact, if you just release the song and it has these sections in it, maybe they don't feel logical to some people, but they might fill in the gaps for the story for themselves. And that kind of storytelling is really valuable. And this can happen in any medium. Like with painting, you can have interesting color choices or perspectives or any of that other stuff. Like I just focus on music because that's what I know, but I'm sure people who are more familiar with more visual arts will have their own ways of going about this. But yeah, I mean, that's really primarily it. Like, I just want to make sure that it's understood that creating this kind of intrigue and creating this kind of story that goes beyond just the piece itself is really valuable. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have much more than that, honestly. I think that this is just an important thing to keep in mind when you're making stuff, and there's nothing wrong with that. So thank you so much for being a Patreon supporter. I really do appreciate it. And thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I will talk to you next Friday. Be remarkable.